to the Old Bull and Young Calf Boston Sports Podcast. Getting in a rhythm here, back on our Monday schedule. We're going to have a medley of things to talk about tonight. Patriots, then Bruins, and then we'll close with the Celtics because this is like almost a pseudo Celtics pregame since they're playing the Hawks tonight at 7:45. So right off the bat, we have now slept on and had about a little over 24 hours to think about the Patriots' loss. So, Dad, first impressions. They found a way to lose to the Tennessee Titans, who I think were the worst team in the NFL, at least record-wise, before 1 p.m. yesterday. So what do you think, Dad?
I mean, thank goodness the Patriots have been playing some absolute bum teams lately. Because can you imagine if they've been playing some teams who are on top of the league, like the Jaguars, garbage, the Jets, garbage, and now here we go yesterday, Tennessee, even worse garbage. So I'm like everyone else. I'm not as down about the loss because once again, May was just Herculean, like Superman May, that last play. I mean, what a thing of beauty. Like I was losing my mind watching that. And, but
I got one question real quick with that.
Yeah.
If that is a red jersey with a 15 on the back and a Kansas City Chief symbol on the helmet, is that play showed ad nauseum for the last 24 hours over and over?
Oh my goodness. Are you serious? Yeah, that would.
Yep.
They'd start making a DVD collection of that. Like,
oh yes,
it would be called The Play.
Yes,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? Like they turn into like 10 episodes. But I mean, anyway, this is but there's a lot of mistakes in there as well. Rookie quarterback, but I mean, you just get the sense that the kid is just trying his best to put the entire team on his shoulders. It's like he knows. He knows he has to do everything. He has to carry them.
He is Thanos.
For them to have. Yeah, basically, he's got the burden of the universe in his hands. And, and he's trying. The kid's trying. Yeah. And he had one horrible interception. Again, another defender, though, beat his guy immediately. So May had to make a quick decision. Didn't see the guy underneath, threw it right to him. The fumble sack, I blame him a little more than other people do. Because if you look at the replay, he saw that left side. He saw his tackle get beat. And he still took a half a second to look downfield, and then he took off. And it's like, dude, you have to feel that. I understand it's your blind side there, but you caught that out of the corner of your eye. You could tell by the way his head was angled. You knew that your tackle got beat. That should set off a flag right away. Either throw it immediately or take off immediately. Don't hesitate. And he ended up getting strip sacked.
Yep.
Which was a bummer.
So, listen, this is probably the person my dad texts me about the most, and that's Patriots coaches. My dad is always texting me about these losers over there. So, Tim, you are nailing it. Worst players on the team are the coaches. Bill Simmons put out. I don't know if you saw the tweet. I'm sorry. But he said Alex Van Pelt is like a magician. He can take a 1st and 10 and turn to a 2nd and 3 like magic. And he does because it's crazy. Drake May was 16 for 18 at one point, and we were still running the ball for no gain or a loss. And it's like, how much more obvious does it have to be to everybody else in the world except for Alex Van Pelt that the run game's not working? You had 15 rushing yards, I think, across all 3 running backs, and you still managed to continue to try and run the ball when Drake May has like a 90+% completion percentage. And Jeff Unknown's in there. Hi guys, Drake is legit. I'm glad the lost. I'm glad the loss of draft. I'm glad for the loss for draft position next year. But this kid has heart. Totally agree. 1st overall pick. That gets us into Lions territory, right? You get a 1st overall pick. You flip that pick for a few more firsts, and then you got a hit. So here's something that's crazy. I saw this chart come up, and Jeff Unknown, your Lions are super high on this chart. So let me see if I can share it. So this is draft picks that have never played in the NFL since 2015. So I got to get Jeff Unknowns out of there so you can see the Patriots way down at 31. 12% of our picks since 2015 have not played a snap in the NFL. So You have the Lions up there. Sure enough, they're doing great. 4.1% of their players that they draft don't play a snap, but otherwise they're hitting. Jahmyr Gibbs, Panay, Sewell, so many of the other mid-round guys, and we got Tim also. Absolutely no details. How does Polk miss the snap? No way that happens under Bill. Jalen Polk, I have some crazy stats for you on Jalen Polk as well. But Dad, how do you feel about this chart? Is this believable? Could you have predicted this chart?
I mean, it's pretty telling, right, for today's NFL. There are obviously some exceptions there. The Titans are high in their garbage right now. The Broncos are on the come. They're on the cusp. So, the Bears are on the cusp as well. So that's pretty telling. The Falcons, it does tell you what's going on here. And, with Polk, again, if you watched our shows back during the draft, we weren't crazy about that pick. And we don't know any better as well, but we go by the consensus, right? We go by what the majority of the experts are saying. We don't try to assume we're smarter than everyone else. Like the Patriots have had a habit for many years going back from Belichick. It's like, did that rub off on Wolf? Like, you know what? We're going to outsmart everyone and take Tyquan Thornton when no one had him there. Like all these other, it's like, listen, it's okay to go with the consensus sometimes. If everyone has this wide receiver as the second best wide receiver in the draft and he falls in your lap, it's okay to take him. It's okay.
Yep. I mean, we got Pete. I know better. Pete, honestly, Dad, I know you said we don't know better, but we 100% know better. Nobody was excited about Polk. I didn't talk to a single person who was excited about Polk. There were a few pundits that were excited about him. I think he has 75 receiving yards, but he also has like 30 penalty yards. So he has like a net of 40 receiving yards a season. Meanwhile, you have guys like Ladd McConkey. Pass on Ladd McConkey. I wanted Ladd McConkey. I understand he's mostly a slot receiver. We have that Demario Douglas, but he did play outside a lot in college. I would have loved Ladd McConkey. He's got 440 receiving yards. I'm wondering if that's more receiving yards than like almost all of our wide receivers combined. And I would have loved to have that guy. I mean, I feel like you took the 13th best wide receiver when the 7th best wide receiver was still there, and you cannot act shocked when there's a big difference. Wolf and Groh were there when they picked Tyquan. The entire scouting department needs to be just ripped out, gutted, and started over because, again, we're just missing on talent left and right. Polk is excited by Polk. Polk sucks, man. Every time the ball's thrown to him, you just know it's gonna like be a drop. He's got the yips. It's over. He has almost no separation. If you look at the advanced metrics from Pro Football Focus and all those different things, they have the separation stats. He is the absolute outlier, dead last, so bad that you have to delete him. Otherwise, the graph looks weird because he's getting no separation. The ball's hitting him in the hands, and he can't keep it in his hands. And close range. Yep. Yeah. That was a rough game, but I'm glad we found a way to lose. Right now, I think the other thing I put in this is that we are on top. We are on top of being the worst. So this is if anyone hasn't seen it,
we have the number 1 pick. Yep.
We have the number
As
1
of
pick.
Now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Our biggest contenders are, of course, us winning. But the Miami Dolphins, they just got Tua back. I don't think they're going to be this bad for that long. But their strength of schedule is much worse than ours. So if the Dolphins and us get the same record, the Dolphins are going to get the first overall pick. But that's the outlook right now. New Orleans just fired their coach. And, Dad, you know what happens when they fire a coach? There's a really good chance they're going to kind of battle back and get a couple wins there. I don't think they're too down dumps. Pizza here. What other scouting departments and coaches are getting paid for by other teams? That's who Kraft wants. Yeah, Kraft's looking for the buy nothing Worcester Facebook post to see who's putting an offensive coordinator and a scout on their at the end of their driveway to pick up.
Yeah, the Patriots are probably going to pick up this Saints coach guy for next year. They're going to use him in some role because the guy's going to be for free pretty much.
There you go, Pete. You already got the old bull using your little shtick.
Yep, I'm stealing it. So, but let's try to focus on some good, right? Drake May. I mean, some of those throws too. And the running the ball. The one thing I want him to work on, though, is, and I feared this also when we previewed him in the draft, everyone's compared him to Josh Allen 2.0. I said, I just want him to be a smarter Josh Allen, where he actually slides and isn't a lunatic. And I don't like the way he was taking on tacklers yesterday. Like, what are you doing, kid? You just got concussed the week before. I get it. You're a fighter. You're a gamer. We all love that about you, but you're a quarterback. Everyone knows the deal when it comes to quarterbacks. No one's going to think you're a wimp or a wuss. Slide, kid. Slide. We need you around. You're our only hope. Stop taking tacklers on like you're Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith. Like you're not. Just slide down. Take the 2 less rushing yards. Who cares? Go down. The other thing I like to see him work on is reading the deep safety a little better, because it's that long pass in overtime. Booty, who was it? Was it Booty? He got separation. He actually got separation, but he didn't account for the free safety on the other side of the field. And he doesn't make that throw if that's not the case. And also, he had another beautiful throw to Bourne that almost tied the game before his crazy last play. But if you remember, the free safety again came in at the last second and knocked it out of Bourne's hands. That was going to be like a 35-yard dime to tie the game. And he just got to get a little better at looking off the deep safety and reading the deep safety before he makes these deep throws downfield.
Yep, I completely agree. And he's fun to watch. It's much better than Jacoby Ball. I'm super happy with that. Really quickly, Jeff Unknown said, at least we're not getting eviscerated by the media like the Cowboys. The Cowboys are an absolute mess. CeeDee Lamb's hurt. Dak Prescott's hurt right now. And just for the record, it's important that everybody knows Jeff Unknown really wants everybody to know he is not a Cowboys fan. No, so that's good, Jeff. I'm glad you're not a Cowboy. I would say we found our QB in the future. He looks like the real deal. I think he 100% looks like the real deal. There's so many stats out there about his efficiency when he does scramble. I know you're frustrated about him not sliding, Dad, taking on guys. He has slid a lot, but his efficiency is like twice the next guy when it comes to when he scrambles. He is
That's coming from the most negative guy on the planet. Peter DePadua hates everything and hates everyone. And look, we got all the street hockey guys chiming. We got Mike Matherin. Love it.
And Bourne fell down.
Bourne did fall down. He did. And oh my God, in the beginning of the game, Mike, Bourne, veteran receiver, jumps off, false start. And then on the next play, he runs 3 yards short of the first down. It catches dude, man, you're not Polk. You're not Baker. You're not a rookie receiver. What the hell are you doing out there? Get focused. It's like this kid has to do everything to try to keep us in games and fix everything. The only thing he's not doing is playing linebacker for us. I wouldn't put that past him.
Yep, it's he is Drake Thanos May. He's just doing it himself. It feels like he's taken. Honestly, he's a massive threat to us getting the first overall pick because he 100% can win us some of these games.
I texted you that earlier. I said, listen, that kid's gonna win us like 2 or 3 games this year. You watch, just putting the team on his shoulders. He's that talented. He's that good. He just wipes out these couple of mistakes he makes a game, and it's gonna happen. You'll see.
Yeah. Pete, this is like a record. You're totally right, Pete. Not many teams go into the draft, find the guy, and still manage to look like a worse NFL team. That's on the GM, coach, and the owner. It's on the owner. We talked about that so much from memory. The dangerous runs were on third down to keep the drive going. I don't think he took risk earlier in a set. And I kind of agree with Tim here, Dad. I think if anything, he should get a lot of praise for the amount he's sliding. He's taking a lot of very safe slides. I was really happy no one was coming over the back and spearing him in the back of the head. So I don't think he put himself too much at risk, especially compared to Josh Allen. Josh Allen was like a road test dummy. That guy was just bouncing around. Rookie QBs don't usually come good until the second or third season. Yeah, and I can tell you a lot of the stuff that Mac Jones showed promise with early that first year, and everyone thought he was pretty good. Drake May has so much more in the toolbox from a arm ability standpoint, a leg ability standpoint, and he's only 22 years old. We got to remember that I don't know if he's the youngest quarterback in the NFL, but I'm pretty sure he is, and everyone's raving about him. Even the players in the locker room. Godshaw said that's a young Josh Allen, and you love to see that. And I think a lot of what's keeping Mayo from losing the locker room is Drake May, because the players know he's a real deal and they believe in him. 3rd and 14. Here's 11. Yep.
Yeah, and then Mike also says the strip sack on the first drive of the second half and putting that on Lowe. Yeah, he Lowe is awful. That's why I want to get that high pick, that left tackle, Mike. At the same time, though, they showed an angle where May saw him get beat. That's where I put a little bit. And listen, no one loves May like I do, but that's where I put some blame on May. He saw Lowe get beat, and he still looked downfield, and then he still decided to run. You have to. At that point, when your left tackle gets beat, you have to either throw it right away or you have to run right away. That's just something he's going to learn. So half the blame to Lowe, half the blame to May there, whatever percentage you want to put on it. But yeah, guys, for obvious reasons, we got to root for them to lose this many games. And it's not just about the draft pick anymore and picking high in every round. It's about putting enough pressure on Kraft where he goes, I have to fire Mayo. Yep. I have to get rid of this GM. I have to make some actual tough decisions and hurt some people's feelings, okay? Because he made all the easy decisions. Wolf's already in the building. I'll just make him GM. May I've been hanging out with for all these years and promised him the job. I'm just going to make him the coach. We need this team to be a disaster. So Kraft's feet is held to the fire, and he makes some real big boy decisions.
Yep. So, Dad, real quick, and I think we need to move on to the Bruins, but let's touch on these couple things. Pete wants you to go on record and vouch for him that he's always said Mac Jones was not good. Can you give Pete that confirmation?
Pete had me beat there because I had faith. I had hope for Mac.
You had a lot of faith.
Pete,
where's the jersey?
From the very beginning, the old bull has to eat some crow on that. He's not always right. The old bull's right a lot. Not on that one. I bought into the training camp hype on Mac Jones, that early sample size, but that was really just Josh McDaniels doing a great job of play calling and putting that kid in a good position. Because as soon as he faced a little bit of adversity, Mac Jones, we all saw what he was officially made of. And Pete did call that from the beginning, so I have to admit that.
And Mike, right? His left tackle gets beat all day. Totally right, Mike. And I think that I want to see Drake May with a competent offensive coordinator, because he really didn't have that in college. I also want to see him with a competent offensive line, because he didn't have that in college. So I'm really hopeful that we can make that happen for him, because he's doing a lot with a little, and he had to do that at UNC. So I want to see Drake May with a fully loaded staff. So I'm hoping that we have a bunch of free agents wanting to come to play for the Pats. I'm sure they want to play with Drake May more than they want to play with Jacoby Brissett.
That's good too. Drake May's flashing. That's going to bring free agents here.
Yeah, it's more like Viridian Blow, which I completely agree with. That's Pete. I've got to try and put that up on the screen. McDaniels should be back next year because the Raiders are paying him. Honestly, I don't know how much I would hate that, because as long as he's
I would take him back at this stage. I'm so used to awful coordinators. Yeah.
Not a coach. And
but listen, Matt,
he had a decent line.
We have two hockey guys in here. I want to jump to the Bruins. Mike Mantha, Peter DePadua. We got some major hockey guys in here. Guys, what do you think is the problem? Tell us what you feel, how you feel. And the last two games are promising, right? 2 shutouts in a row. I feel like now they're almost overcompensating. You can get away with that against the Kraken, against the Flyers, but you can't get away with that for a good team. Like, again, the scoring is a problem. To 5 goals against those two teams is not well. It's not good. Still can't bury scoring chances when they have them. It's just, I love seeing them button it up a little bit on defense. That is good to see. But that is not – by the end of the year, their defense is going to be great. Their goaltending is going to be great. I want to see scoring. And they're doing absolutely nothing to try to find scoring. They're still not giving Lysol a sniff, Merkelov a sniff. They're not giving Potras real offensive wingers. I just can't stand this approach, and I can't wait for Montgomery to get the axe. And I'm just praying they bring in an offensive guy who actually stirs things up and lights a fire under this offense.
Yeah, and you got Jeff Unknown. Before the weekend, I was curious as to what was going to be going on with the Bruins. It was a big weekend, right? My dad mentioned those are really 2 not great teams in the Kraken and the Flyers, but they haven't really been able to handle business because the Flyers had just shut them out, a few days earlier than that. So it was a very big weekend. They came out on the back-to-back. They won their games a lot, not without any drama, right? Because now we have Pastrnak, getting sit for the, what's it called? The third period. Came out today. He said, he takes responsibility and he doesn't want to be a distraction. He's going to move forward. I don't know what happened between him and Monty, but I know Monty's had a target on his back, at least within this podcast, especially from my dad. So Philly is a horrible team, Pete said.
Yeah, they're terrible.
That's not true. The biggest issue is the coaching. I think I like Monty, but that's an issue there. So, Mike, this is Mike's first take. Thanks for sharing, Mike. Slow and sloppy on defense, forcing the puck to Pasta. Yeah, and we had a guy in here in our comment section. His name's True Mr. Quinn, and he's added that we give up so many power plays while being a horrible penalty kill team. And almost every time you look at the goal, I'd have to look at how many power play goals we're giving up compared to even strength goals, because we're just putting ourselves at a major disadvantage constantly.
We're terrible on the power play. We're terrible killing the power play this year. And Mike Manther, if you've listened to the games during the playoffs, that is my number one thing going into every playoffs. Could the Bruins have a postseason where they don't become turnover machines? And, and now they're doing it in the regular season. So, Mike agrees with me. That's what I was hoping to get, something like this where, the hockey guys chime in. And Peter DePadua, power play start. Yeah, Pasta should not be carrying the puck in his own. Listen, Pasta's a great sniper. That man cannot keep the puck on his stick and keep his feet to save his life. A piece of paper blowing through the wind bumps that dude off the puck. So he has his limitations. He needs an elite playmaker to go with him. Something needs to be done.
And I think
I want to see.
Tim mentioned, I think Pasta and Marshy are injured. Marshy getting over it. Pasta seems worse. And that means, Pasta's in postseason form, because that's what happens every postseason. He gets a nagging little injury, and that's everybody's excuse as to why he can't keep the puck on his stick. It's so ridiculous that he's, supposed to be this kind of high tier, high profile player, but he can't keep the puck on his stick. How do you guys feel about him getting benched for that third period? Do you like it? Do you not like it?
I don't mind it. It's just whatever. You got to try something, I guess. It's, Pasta, he's paid. He's not going anywhere. I don't know if it's going to actually send a message to him. We'll see. But, and Tim Hilliard, Zacha is the walking hand grenade. He's just, that guy will just absolutely destroy a beautiful scoring chance. Just blow it up. Soccer in the slot by himself. Oh, he missed the net again. Oh, he shot it right into the goalie's chest again. That guy can destroy a good scoring chance like you read about. Absolutely brutal. And, I just can't take it anymore. Kurt Ram, it's another hockey guy. Love seeing that, Kurt. It's just bad. There's way too much talent on this team. They had to have quit on the coach. It has to be a quit on the coach situation, even with a few new players thrown in and maybe a lack of chemistry. If you want to throw that in this excuse, there's still too much talent for them to look this bad. It just has to be that. I just hope they pick the right guy. Montgomery, it's not a matter of if, it's when. They're going to fire him. They're going to bring somebody in. I just hope they make the right choice. I hope they don't try to think short term and bring in a defensive guy with the neutral zone trap and try to get the defense back on track and goals. I think they're going to be fine by the end of the year. We need someone who can fix the scoring in our power play, our useless power play. And Mike Mantha's right. Peter DePadua, I can't stand him. He drives me nuts, but man, he was probably the best street hockey player in Central Massachusetts. That kid, from one end of the rink to the other, if we could just, make it so he's not obese and can skate and not have back pain. Yeah. Let's get him out there. And replace McAvoy with him.
We need those Tramadol shots or whatever. You know what I mean? Some edibles. Just throw Pete on the ice. Yeah. Finishing is our biggest problem across the board, I think. I completely agree. And, he mentions the king of ping, right? Hitting those posts. I love it. And are Zacha and John Tavares related from Jeff Noone? Haha, pucks go there to die. Yeah. That's
Tavares
our top
used
line.
To be a finisher with the Islanders. Used to be, but yeah, not anymore.
Yep. And another big game in Toronto tomorrow night. I wonder if they're going to carry the energy in from the weekend, at least the winning energy and defensive energy. Who else we got here?
And this is why I like Mantha. Like, I like hockey guys chiming in. Again, that's another thing I forgot about. He's so right. Teams are on to that, Pasternak in the slot thing. I mean, he's been scoring like that for years, but teams are really going out of their way to take that away. Because, otherwise, he's very limited. You take away his bread and butter, which is that pass, that blast from the slot. And, once again, he's no longer an elite goal scorer. He's just, maybe a good goal scorer. Yeah. And this team's lacking in offense so bad, they need Pasta at his, peak. And they take that away, and it's brutal.
Pasta's not finishing through traffic. He's not beating guys. It just falls off his stick whenever he has it, and there's like any sort of resistance. Peter, I think it was Oates. It was like when Casper benched Neely and Bork. Oh yeah, when Casper.
I thought of that comparison, but the young people wouldn't remember that. And he let me tell you, I think he got fired almost immediately after that. So I don't know if that's going to have the same results with him benching Pasternak, but we'll have to see. But yeah, oh God, I remember that the look on Neely's face when he's sitting there on the bench. It was not like if he could have got away with murder, he would have.
Yeah, and I mean you can't get chemistry when you change lines every shift. And they took probably one of the best lines in hockey, our fourth line, split it up, and they sent out one of the worst. Honestly, it's like my son picked the lines by just like reaching into a hat and picking out pieces of paper, and then they got their doors blown off 8-2 by the Hurricanes. I don't know what strings Monty was trying to pull. He said he was hoping the energy would like transfer to these guys. It literally just made them the worst team in the NHL. Chemistry-wise, and they got their absolute break speed off by that Hurricanes team. That was an embarrassing loss. Thank you. Thanks, Kurt. I think you're right. Go ahead, Dad.
Yeah, and this guy named Kevin Brianna used to work with. I tag him all the time. He never really chimes in, but he comments a lot on the Bruins game in real time. And, he was blasting Montgomery, and I said the same thing. I go, and that boob, he dismantles the one line that's working, the fourth line, the only line that's scoring and has energy. He dismantles that and mixes all the lines. Instead of mixing up line number 1, 2, and 3 and leaving the fourth alone, no, he mixes them all up. And, it was a disaster. They got absolutely destroyed, embarrassed by Carolina the other day. We haven't even talked about that. It's just everything is going backwards here. They just need a shakeup.
We're 2 minutes away from the Celtics. I think we should probably keep talking. We got a bunch of people here about the Bruins. Celtics are doing great. They're going to be just fine tonight. I think we have a lot to talk about the Bruins. Is there any possibility we trade Zacha at the deadline? I would love movement. I think that the top six needs major shakeup. I know that, I almost got crucified by giving Marchand a hard time, but there's something wrong with our top six. I don't know how you can fix it or what they can do, but I feel like there needs to be a major shakeup. And I would not be mad if that's Zacha, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it's somebody else, maybe somebody a bit more endearing. I don't know if Marchand would even accept to play elsewhere, but I mean, something needs to happen.
What they need to do is, an old trade like Harry Sinden used to. Some of the older guys would remember this, like a pull-in for Carpenter, like those, like a guy who's usually comparable with a Zacha or a Marchand, who's also struggling and needs a change of scenery, and just swap them. A 25 scorer, for their 25 scorer, 18 goal scorer for their 18 goal scorer, something similar. Like they need to start making some type of trade like that to shake things up. Show everyone in the room, nobody's safe here. We will send you to another team. Preferably a bum team, because that scares people. You send them to like a really bad team, and they're like, oh, they don't care. They'll send you to freaking, one of the garbage dregs of the league. So they need to do something. Fire the coach. Neely and Sweeney aren't going anywhere. Apparently they just, I don't know. They have naked pictures of, the freaking owner, Jacobs. Yeah. I don't know what the heck's going on. They just keep their job no matter what. So, get rid of the damn coach.
Listen,
make a trade. Try to get some scoring back. Give up scoring to get scoring, just to give somebody a fresh start who's struggling elsewhere.
And Jeff Unknown, he started bragging after the Bruins' last overtime win against the Maple Leafs. Now he's Jeff. The karma comes around fast, so you really do need them to win, because I'm sure everybody who saw you bragging about that at school is going to come back for you. Matty P is taking an absolute beating this year. Who's Matty P? What am I? I think Matt Patricia right away.
Oh, Patras.
Oh, Matt Pacha.
No.
Oh, Patras.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hey, you put two bum wingers who don't have talent. I'm sorry, you can't gauge that kid.
Corpuzalo was in there. Yep.
You can't tell if that kid is, gonna thrive as a scorer if you put bums next to him. I'm sorry.
Yep. And you don't give
Frederick's
much
not a
shifts at
scorer.
all.
Geeky's not a scorer. Brazo's not a scorer. Like, these guys, I'm sorry, they're not talented enough. Put him with some damn real wingers. Give him a try with Pasternak. I don't know. They had some magic one overtime game where they worked beautifully together. Try something different.
Yep, this team lacks grit and toughness, and you wouldn't think that, Mike, considering we're like the largest defensive team in the NHL. But you're 100%
largest
right.
NHL team in history.
Yeah, and we're still soft. I heard that the pucks go there to die from the Leafs YouTuber. It's a good line, and I think it really hit the nail on the head. McAvoy has been awful at the beginning of the season. Maybe he has turned a corner. I would love to see more from McAvoy, especially since we're paying him so much, and we don't need two very expensive defensemen being duds. Between him and Lindholm, I think Lindholm started to rack up a little bit of points, but he's still not. I think the value, the transfer of how much he's getting paid is worth it. I wonder if Monty is drinking again. It's Monty.
Oh man!
Oh man! Mike coming from the top rope.
Too soon. Oh,
yeah, come on, Mike.
That is terrible. Oh my God.
This is a
yikes. Yeah. That's a rough.
Lohrei has been pretty awful too. What a bummer. I'll tell you one thing Pete was wrong about.
That guy was so awesome in the playoffs last year, Lohrei.
I'll tell you one thing
and
Pete
it's
was
like,
wrong
what did they
Lohrei.
do to him? What did they do to him?
He was like, oh, if you count Lohrei, they're gonna have a breakout young star, and now here we are. Lohrei is just has not been it. He said, and I mean, some of that might be the coaching, right? Short leash, you get antsy, you get nervous. Monty does not want to give Lohrei a chance. So I think a lot of it's validation from the coach is like, oh, good, he sucks. Now I don't have to play him. So maybe that's getting in his head. He's a young kid. He said it. He said it was so they can get more ice time. How about just play them more, then they can get more ice time. Yep. Totally trade McAvoy. He's a turnover machine. I think at this point, Mike.
Oh, I would trade.
I don't think we can, because the amount of no trade clause he has. If we wanted to trade him, Mike, we had to trade him before July 30th or something.
Yeah.
And then that was pretty much it. There was a deadline for that. Now it would take moving heaven and earth to trade McAvoy. Zadorov might be getting better. Needs to stay out of the box. Again, the penalties, Tim. Oh my gosh! Can we please stop the penalties?
Death taxes, Zadorov penalty. It's just nothing has gone right for this team. It can only go up. What really sucks is last year was the year when we had that comfortable lead in the entire league. We're top of the league. That was the time to lose some games in the regular season to get Poitras, Lohrei real minutes. Guys like that, Merkulov. Okay, so what if they make mistakes? Let's show them that. Okay, you made a mistake here. Try not to do it again. Show them they're not going to just lose their spot because they, like you said, Matt, they play tight. Lohrai's like, oh, man, if I make one mistake out there, that's it. I'm going back down to Providence. Or I'm going to be sitting the next game. You don't want them playing like that. Let them know you can make a mistake, but try to correct it the next time out. Let them play free. Give them ice time.
So I know you talked about that, and I think you already spoiled your answer a little bit to this question, but Pete says they need a major DNA change. Before the season, I mentioned Marchand, and that did not go over too well. I'm curious if you guys, have a second. What is the biggest change personnel-wise that you're willing to make? Is it just McAvoy? I think from a tier perspective, it's McAvoy, Marchand, and then Pasternak. How high on that pole are you willing to go when it comes to making a major change? Of course, you want equal return. The value of that is important, but all things being equal, how much are you willing to shake up this team? If you guys want to write that in the comments, I'd really appreciate that. Trade McAvoy for a forward. I would love to get rid of McAvoy. We have so much defensemen, and again, we're choking out Lohrei, our young defenseman, and he's not getting any time because we have so many of these other guys to put out there. All the analytics show Poitras has been the best player, yet for some reason Monty seems to have had it in for him. I don't know what's up with this. It's just Claude Julien did it, and then also Cassidy did it too.
It's like that Scooby-Doo mask, right? You rip the skin, the face off of Montgomery, and Claude Julien's under there. Like Cassidy's under there. It's like, when it comes to young players, I would trade anyone. I would even trade Pasta. If you're talking about getting a comparable person back as far as numbers go, like Pasta's a 50, 60 goal scorer. If we could trade him and get another consistent 50 goal scorer back to change things up, I would do it in a second. Pasta's a defensive liability. He's a turnover machine. He's loose on the puck. I would. Nobody's off the table. Nobody.
Yep. So Pete and the old bull are 1-1. There's no love keeping anybody here. Definitely don't trade Marchand, Jeff said. My wedding will be over before it even started if that happens. Jasmine and Owen would disown me. Listen, Jeff, it's not your call, okay? It's Jacob's and Sweeney and Neely's call, not yours, so you don't have to worry about it, okay? Unless they call you. Then just, don't tell her they called you and tell them to get rid of them if they have to. And Mike Manta, again, this is one of the big problems. We're just so deep with mediocre talent or mediocre midline players, and we don't have a star that can be a star long enough, right? Pastrnak just fades when we need him the most, especially in the playoffs. Now he's fading this year, even earlier than that. And it, looks like so much of a train wreck. And we got a ton of these, we have like 3 or 4 third-round centers. And I really don't know what we're supposed to do with all those guys. I would love to offload some of them to get actual talent in here. Definitely don't trade Marsh. Oh, wait, my bad. I would trade any of them. So pretty much everybody's like, get rid of everybody. I would trade any of them. Kurt said, Mike Mantha, he's on Jeff Unknown's side. Holding on to Marshy is, holding on to Marshy is like the end of Bird McHale era. The Celtics hung on to them too long. So Mike's actually saying get rid of Marshy. Wow.
Good point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The funny part.
You know what?
Is, yep.
People are also tired of this team underperforming in the playoffs every year, especially that historic year they had 2 years ago. People are sick of that. It's the same core that chokes every year in the damn playoffs as well. So start cleaning some damn house. I'm not saying scrap players for nothing and get nothing back, but try to get other players from other teams who need a fresh start as well that are comparable. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Can we convince
Matt,
Bergeron to come out of time? What's up, Dad?
You got to keep it going. I got to split. All right. And, hang on for a few more minutes. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. The old Bulls got to split. Love that hockey talk. See you all again next Monday. Hopefully we're in a better mood.
Yep. All righty. So there goes my dad. I won't keep you guys all too long. I think one of the other things I do want to mention is, yes, I do want to trade all these guys, but the cap. And we signed Swayman for a ton of money. And I know that, a lot of people are saying Swayman's going to be fine. Swayman's okay. And, I think he was a part of at least one of these shutouts this weekend. I know Corpuzzola was there as well. I'm curious, how do you guys feel about the cap and, Swayman 23 saves against the Kraken? Has anybody soured on Swayman with this $8.25 million deal and what that does for them when it comes to acquiring new talent at the deadline? Because I'm not too sure. I think that at this point he was, what is his stats this year? 2.88 goals against, 0.87 save percentage. I know he doesn't have too much in front of him. I know we're putting a ton of power plays, opportunities against him. So I don't know. It's a bit sketchy with the cap situation and trying to get talent in here because of course the hockey's hard cap. I would keep Marshy if they had talent around him. I think Marchand would be a great piece for a championship contender. And that's why shipping him out, he probably would go and win a cup somewhere else doing the little things and being, a pest. But I don't know how he can be your top 3 talent. But they don't. The core, including Bergeron, Krejci, should have had way more cups than one. Completely agree, Pete. Oh, man, that loss to Chicago was so painful. I forget what the guy's name was who went out in one of the games for Chicago. He was one of their big pieces. He was out, and we managed to lose that game. We should have won that one. That Blues Cup, I thought that was a lock. I was already planning my plans for the trip, and we got absolutely screwed. Kraken hit more posts yesterday than they had shots. Yeah, Kurt. Waste of huge money. Kurt, that is the most savage Swayman take I've seen yet. And the duality of hockey fans, or at least Boston hockey fans. So we got Kurt Ram saying waste of huge money. And we got Tim saying, I am still high on Swayman. Tim's unwavering support of Swayman. Listen, Swayman stepped up. Big game tomorrow. I'd imagine they're going to start him tomorrow against the Maple Leafs. No better chance to show that you still got it and you're going to shake off the rust than to do something against this high-powered Maple Leafs offense. I would love to see him go into their house and make a bunch of saves. Winning cures all, right? Not a chance. Swayman is still the guy. There's no way he could possibly live up to the hype that went with a drawn-out contract negotiation. It has been a bit set up for failure, Jeff. I completely agree. And this is the tough thing, right? Like, if he just signed 8-8 at the start of free agency, it wasn't too much of a show of it. But the going on podcasts, the talking about worth, the talking about all the different, being, not thought he was good enough and everything like that. It's definitely added sour grapes to a lot of people's impressions of him. 8.2 is his salary and his save percentage. Ah, man, Kurt, you are ruthless. Like I said from the start, you need to have one of the highest paid goalies in the league when you have goalie Bob. You don't need to have the highest paid goalie in the league when you have goalie Bob. Pete, I agree, Pete, but seems like Corporzalo is impervious to goalie Bob's guidance because Corporzalo has not been playing well. Of course, he did have that shutout this weekend, but I know you're super not high on him at all. So I don't know. Maybe goalie coach Bob is getting through to him. The loss to St. Louis was worse. Lost at home, Game 7. Mike, I can't believe we lost that series. I really thought that St. Louis Blues Cup was ours. I cannot believe we choked that. And again, it was just couldn't get scoring from anywhere else. A lot of the stuff we're dealing with now, Pasta not being able to keep the puck on a stick, that was painful. It's rare you win a cup without a top goalie, especially one that's already proved he can do it in the playoffs. I would love to see Pete and Tim in the same room because it's the opposite takes. And I know that Tim is super high on goalie coach Bob as well. So, he's turned a lot of really special goalies out. The Bruins seem to own Toronto like Florida owns the Bruins. It is that kind of transitive. It's a pain in the butt, that situation. I can't stand losing to Florida. And beating Toronto seems like a given nowadays. I guess we aren't going to sway Kurt's opinion on Swayman. Yeah, it doesn't seem like anything's going to sway Kurt's opinion on Swayman. We'll see. Again, winning cures all. If Swayman comes out tomorrow night, blanks the Leafs, and has a big part in why they won, I don't see any reason why Kurt wouldn't, ease up on him a little bit. And again, you got to prove it. It all happens on the ice, and hopefully Swayman can get better and follow that up. I mean, his past 5 games, 3 goals allowed, 4 goals allowed, 3 goals allowed, 6 goals allowed, 0 goals allowed. So that's not a great resume. If you're a Bruins fan and you're looking for great goalie, of course, there's a ton of context there with defensemen, a ton of context there with power plays, but it's still tough. Look at the Blues team that beat us, or the Vegas team that won the cup. Both had average goalies. Yeah, you're right, Pete. You got to get hot at the right time. Swayman has proven he's been able to get hot in the playoffs, but yeah, I think that's the podcast. It's really great, guys, talking to everybody. Thanks for taking the time to come in and share your opinions, your thoughts. My dad and I love it, and we're always going to read everybody's stuff. And it's just kind of us hanging out with friends, my friends, my dad's friends. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. We'll see if we come on before next Monday, but at a minimum, we'll be back on Monday. Hopefully, much happier, like my dad said, about the progression of all these games. The Boston Celtics are currently, was the scoreboard for the Boston Celtics? Celtics are 27-21, business as usual in Atlanta. Love to see it. So thanks for being here, Jeff Unknown. I hope everybody has a great rest of the